the days of us saying, hey, use Cottrell Title Escrow because my team is great, my closer, Dottie, has been doing this for 30 years and we're always going to pick up the phone, that doesn't work, and it's not going to work anymore.
Last fall, we had a chance to interview James Schlimmer, managing partner with Cottrell Title Escrow, after he presented at Notarize's Rewired conference in Miami. James is a leader of innovation in the title industry. He and founding attorney Justin Cottrell made headlines in 2018 when they completed the first remote notarization for a Southwest Florida closing. During our talk, James gave some tactical advice on how title companies can bring more innovation into their business strategy. That includes e-closing solutions like remote notarization and customer service chatbots powered by artificial intelligence and your title software. I'm Amanda Farrell, and this is Title Talks. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming.
So we were just at the Rewired conference,
Yep.
And you spoke at one of the sessions and you talked about your experience moving from paper to digital closing.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I would say one of the things I spoke about at the conference is that we were very early adopters. And the big part of, I think, the whole digital closing conversation is seeing this wave of transition in the industry, right? And to me, I can look and say there's old school title professionals, and it's very easy for us to be to put folks in a box because there's like traditionalists who love title. And I've been doing this for 30 years, and we have our systems internally, and they know title, they know how to clear issues, judgments and liens, they know the job, right? And they're passionate about that. But what happens is they're so focused on, I would say, like in the file, they're not taking their head above water to look at the landscape of the industry. And when it comes to digital closing, they're like, that'll never happen because there was some, fake outs with, 2005, and then obviously getting the laws changed. It's been slow to get going, but now there's momentum like beyond. 22 states have remote online notarization laws passed, right? This is happening now. And we were kind of on the cusp where I looked at it and said, all right, this is an opportunity of my career. I don't think there will be anything this big in my career, as long as I'm in title, that where we have the ability to be in front of it and really have something to say to the market that is different. And that was a lot of what I guess my theme was yesterday, where the days of us saying, hey, use Cottrell Title Escrow because my team is great, my closer, Dottie, has been doing this for 30 years and we're always going to pick up the phone, that doesn't work, and it's not going to work anymore. But if you're really finding solutions to problems, and the problem is, why is the buyer, seller, or borrower able to do everything electronic, but they have to drive into your office and sit in your office and take 2 hours out of their day? That doesn't work in 2020 anymore. So for us to be a part of that on the front end, we were able to identify this is the biggest way to differentiate ourselves, locally, state, and nationwide.
So I know for a lot of people, it seems like the legality is always a big issue. People are unaware of the fact that they can do it based on the interstate laws accepting.
Yep.
So
reciprocity of the notarial laws. Yep.
Yeah. So can you explain, because people might be wondering how you were able to do this before the RON laws
Sure.
in Florida have been enacted?
So here's what happens, right? The same way in a paper world, right? If a deed was notarized, a paper deed was notarized in Virginia, right? And as long as it was notarized per the way that we like in Florida and had the two witnesses, right? We'll accept that notarial act in Florida on a piece of paper. It's the exact same thing electronically. So prior to the effective date for the law change in Florida is January 1, right? But so how have some of these companies like ours and others throughout the state been able to do this before the law changes? Well, essentially, they're Virginia notaries, right? And we're accepting that, and our underwriter, Westcor, it was the only one that was kind of forward enough, and I would say WFG as well, in our case, have said, okay, wait a second, we know that you guys have the internal procedures to make sure that based on the certain type of deal, and you can get really granular, so it's hard with, I can talk a little bit because I think your folks would appreciate it, but I'll give just an overview. They'll ensure the transaction based on the laws of Virginia and us accepting that, and if your underwriter's okay with it and your E&O's okay with it, which they are, you can move forward. And then the clerk of courts, because it's an electronic recording that they're used to getting already, as long as it has all the substance that it needs to, you continue moving. So.
And what are some of the tactical advice you would give to someone who wants to move into this kind of remote closing?
So one, it's I think you can open up Pandora's box, which I think is a really, really good thing, because overall, as you're making a decision in your company to make the experience better for the end user, right? And that's never a bad thing, right? Nobody cares if our job is easier, and title professionals will truly get that. Nobody cares that if just shut up, close my deal, let me get my commission check, and nobody cares of all the cool things that we have that makes our lives easier. This does make our operations more efficient, right? Now, it will give a better experience to the buyer and seller because they don't have to drive and they don't have to wait as long and so forth. The very hard part, though, is you're retraining folks that don't even know this is possible, right? You're retraining real estate agents that don't even know this is possible. And, well, why do they have to pay, a remote online notarization fee? Well, they pay for a remote notary now. It's the same thing. If an in-person notary was to show up, there's a fee. Well, it's the same thing that exists in this world. One of the very hard parts is within your workflow, the number of mail-away transactions. How do we eliminate those? Because on a mail-away transaction, inevitably, what comes back is errors. Even if you put in our team, and I'm sure many teams out there do a great job, they put these nice little stickers and they do everything there to make it just as detailed as you can, like I'll say idiot proof, right? Because this is just folks within the industry. Inevitably, 70% of those documents are going to come back wrong. So now they need to be re-executed, right? Or international closings where, I didn't put it in the FedEx box, I put it in DHL. And now those things are gone for a couple weeks. You've just delayed. And all of that compounded over a year is how much additional cost for your operation and a terrible experience. So from a workflow standpoint, our biggest issue right now is trying to get, how do we retrain, eliminate mailaways, right? And now the Rewired was excellent because the gentleman from Guaranteed Rate was up there, and I was able to ask the question of, how are you guys letting your borrowers know about this? And inevitably what everybody will say is, as soon as possible in the transaction. How quick can you find out that they're not going to be present for closing? And then immediately, how quick can you say, this is our solution? And it's remote online notarization. It's digital. This is how it works. Here's a nice little video that explains it in a minute or less. And this is how we go about this. And you still have to be able to offer the traditional closing, and we will do that. But it's having those systems in place so you're not having to redo it over and over and over and over and over every single time. That's what's cumbersome. So we're by no means smooth yet, but we're identifying the things that we need to do to be able to get there, I think, which is comforting.
And I think a lot of times people assume that these sort of shiny new toys, these tech savvy applications are usually only something that millennials or Gen Zs are interested in. But the man that you helped close on a home, he was in his 80s?
He was 82.
Okay.
Right? And so that was our first deal that we did live on the news. But it was, what a great way to show, especially in my market, Southwest Florida, is, there's older folks. We have transplants from all across the country. I'm yet to see, I would say, a millennial buyer or seller, come in and be like, I got to have this, the stereotype that everybody would think, like, how come you don't have an app, or how come you aren't doing this? But, we work with a senior citizen community where it's actually, the folks go in there and they actually own the property that they're going to live in, and there's assisted living within there. We've had a wonderful adoption of our technology. On the same token, we've had just as many folks there, probably 50%, that need it to be old school. So you have to be able to do both, right? Primarily in our world, I wish we had more millennial buyers. I wish we had, kind of what the stereotype is, that it's only these certain types. No, we're working with a lot, it's 55 and up.
And so obviously it's a pretty easy process. Anyone can do it then. It's not like it's trying to set up a computer in your home or anything like that. It's a simple process that
It's
people are
very
washed
easy.
through.
So kind of the biggest hurdle I think that folks in the industry have is, I've been doing it the same way for 20 years, operating my title company, let's say. How do I even put my first foot forward? Your first foot is go to notarize.com, click on the title agent up in the upper right, and I do not work for them, just for the record, but it's that easy, and you can literally use their platform where you're dragging your documents, your closing docs, into here and letting them spit the information out to that signer, right? And then you have the ability to be on the call today. So I think you'll be on there via audio, right? And they will send a text to that buyer seller. You've gone over, hopefully, the transaction beforehand would be a great experience. On the phone, make sure the numbers are good so it's just easier for the notary, right? And they execute the signing, and those documents are immediately emailed back to your closer. And then you have those and you drag those back into your title production software and you go. That's the simplest way if you didn't have any integrations. Where it gets really cool is when you do have the integrations, because now you can push your closing docs right to Notarize instantly with a click. And then they get all the data for the contact info and all that stuff, and your buyers and sellers were already pre-educated about the process, right? And now they have the ability to do the signing, and immediately those documents are pushed right back to you. And now you're either review and you're ready to record and close. So the efficiency of this is something that you almost never want to go back to the way that we've been doing this forever, because one, no more mail-aways, and you save 2 days. So in a mail-away, you overnight one way, and then they have to overnight it back. You've just lost 2 days in a closing. Those 2 days, again, compounded over the 1,000, 2,000 transactions over a year, huge profitability for all parties of the transaction. So.
And you mentioned it being idiot-proof, helping with the errors and all that. So could you say like how much it's reduced your errors by in terms of those missed initials or missed signatures?
So there are no errors. And that's a wonderful thing. When it comes back, it's right every single time. So it's really that simple. And if that doesn't motivate you enough to do it, the next time you're putting a sticker on a doc to FedEx out to overnight, and you're just like, oh, why do we have to do this? And make sure they forgot a witness, or the witness was a family member, or the notary ended up being a family member of the signer, and you're just like, oh, shoot me in the face, because now I have to redo all this stuff, And here's the truth, and I understand title professionals will understand this. We could give the most detailed instructions, but people don't really want to read what we tell them, right? Which is why we have to do these things over and over and over. So the fact of being able to embrace this and have some video behind it to show how easy this is, I mean, we're on the cusp now of this huge acceptance. So at Rewired, I know there was a handful of companies that came up to me after, and they're like, I don't know what to do, but I want to take that first foot forward. And I was like, that's great. And these are big shops, and these are your mom and pop title companies. So, and these are folks that are on, it could be double time, it could be closer's choice, it could be e-closings, it could be, you're not the enterprise software solutions in title, but they're ready to do it. And that's how you know it's coming for sure.
Are there any other tools that people should be thinking about adding to their workflow to help with this? I know Alex Roundtree from Dropbox was there, and so they were talking about their project management kind of team workflow app that they have. Is there anything else like that you use in your company or that you are thinking of using?
So we have, all our workflows are built into our title production software. So that's really, it's kind of like your next video should really be, how do you choose the best title production software? Because that's really the nucleus of your company, it should be. And you build everything off of that. So what are the capabilities that this nucleus offers you? Is it unlimited integrations? Is it unlimited ability to develop or write code to be able to come up with whatever the next great idea is in title? Or you can't do anything. You're limited with what they offer, right? So when it comes to other integrations or other stuff that folks should be thinking about in their workflows with digital closings, I would say one, it's how would you do it? So how are you going to get the documents to notarize, let's say? Okay, you know that you can go do it where you sign in to notarize and drag them over. Well, how can you get it more efficient? The next question is, well, what's my title production software? Do we have an integration, yes or no? And if not, how do I get it? How do I build it? How do I make that easier? Because having a click and the documents go is the answer, right? Because that's what companies are doing, right? And then having a click when they're done and they automatically come back in, that it has to be that way. To me, I would be looking at it and say like, okay, I know other companies are doing it, so I have to do it that way, or I can't compete. You can still do the manual approach and you'll be fine, right? But to me, I want the best, the most efficient. So then it's great. How do I let people know about this, right? We can't lose sight of the fact that we're getting ready to do something that people everybody understands a notary, but they don't understand this way. But yet they FaceTime, they Skype, it's easy. They've used electronic signatures forever. It's common sense, but we have to be, in our industry, it just seems like everybody is so trained for this archaic approach of coming to the closing, or we're going to send them a notary to say, no, just open up your laptop or use your phone. So how are you going to build into your workflow the educational aspect of what your company offers that, and how is that integrated into your workflow? That's the art of what we do.
And also still, like you were saying, have that choice of people. Obviously, some people will want to do remote. They'll love closing on their home while they're on vacation in Hawaii or whatever. But there are those people, there's the one survey that came out where people want to see more technology introduced into the closing process, but they still like that in-person experience. So obviously it's a matter of giving consumers choice, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just spent a lot of money. I don't know if you had a chance to go over and take a look in our lobby, but we had this wonderful mural painted. So essentially, you have buyers, they come in and they're so excited, especially buyers. They're so excited, first home, right? They want that experience. Millennials, young, old, they want to feel like they put their life savings for the most part into acquiring this property. And that's what we were able to help them do, right? It's the essence of our careers, right? And we can't lose sight of that. When they can walk through that front door, what are you hitting them with? Is it a dim-lighted lobby and just somebody, I would say like Agnes smoking cigarettes on the side or something like that, or are you going to hit them with, wow, no, this is all about you today. We have this wonderful mural with this sign on here, and it's built into the wall, so they take pictures in front of it, and it's like, congratulations. And we want to have that feeling, because that feeling is what they'll leave with and tell everybody about their experience with Cottrell, right? Now, on the same token, how can you provide all of that electronically? You can. It exists, right? I'm not going to tell you how, because it's really, really hard. And that's how you can really differentiate yourself. If you exhaust yourself on thinking, how can we have these touches, these personal touches, where, wait a second, we're going to do this digital closing, and I know we just saved 2 days, right? And I know if I think about the time, how much, if I set a stopwatch on placing stickers, right, which say that took 7 minutes, uninterrupted. Great, I just saved 7 minutes. I have 7 more minutes to spend with a personal interaction, whether that's a phone call, whether that's an email, whether that's a handwritten note, who knows what it could be, but you've saved that time. So you're going to save that time to do what? Provide more, a better experience. That's the goal.
Right. So it's really about just reimagining that entire end-to-end customer experience, I think.
Because, and I guess fully recognizing too, because it's terrible right now. Right, buying a house.
I've never bought a house. I hope to soon.
Yeah, it's overall it's awful, and that may rub a lot of folks the wrong way, because this is what we do for a living, and it's like, wow, we're supposed to. But if you really look at it, it's the whole idea of the sales contracts and the inspection periods and the back and forth, and you got to get your deposit in, and I don't know how to do it, and why do I have to pay a $25 wire fee to get my deposit in? It's just, there's so much that could be stressful, right? And you're on guard, and it's your life savings, let's just say. So you're, oh my goodness, it's nerve-wracking. And if there's a little change that has nothing to do with anything, for instance, where the seller doesn't want to fix things in an inspection, or the appraisal came in low, or all of these things that we normally say are outside of our control, I believe we have to somehow get them into our control, because that's the experience. right? And how can we nurture that, I guess, the best way is what's really, really hard about what we do, but that's the opportunity. So we just launched Alana, which is a customer service resource. It's never been done before in title. So essentially we're using artificial intelligence, right, that sits on top of our SQL database, right, which is where all the data is in a closing, right? And Alana has the ability to go in and grab info based on questions. So you talk about, hey, the experience, what's the number one complaint in a real estate closing is that nobody will tell me what's going on and I don't know who to talk to, right? So identifying that as a problem, it's like, okay, well, where's the opportunity to solve that? And what happens is we work you can work 12 hours a day. People are going to have questions when you're not here, right? How are you going to address that? So that's kind of the first little obstacle that we had. And one was, all right, people go to our website. What are they asking? Website chat. And typically those are general questions. Where are you located? What are your hours? Who do I make my deposit check out to? What is title insurance? Why do I need a survey? What's an inspection? Those type of things. We can have an answer to all those things without being here, right? And Alana affords us the ability to do that. And one, it's on website chat, or most real estate agents, everybody's texting. So they can text us at a phone number, which is, hey, instead of texting me individually, text this new number. And Alana will answer all those questions. The other aspect too, and I'm sure many title professionals will appreciate this, is I'm going to a listing presentation, I need a seller net sheet. I've got a buyer, an open house, I need closing cost estimate, right? For us to create those, because real estate agents don't want to do it, right, is 5 minutes out of our time, uninterrupted, right? So if it's a Friday night and somebody needs a seller net sheet, you're gonna hop up, open your laptop, you're gonna create, it's gonna be 5 minutes. Alana has the ability, because it's plugged into our database and our fees, you can text it, and you can create the seller net sheet via text message or on the website chat in seconds. No username, no passwords, which is great. And now we're about 1 month live with Alana in this market, and the number of net sheets that we're doing. When I was at Rewired yesterday, it's like 15 or 20 in a period of 4 hours, where that's nobody in my team having to stop what they're doing to be able to create that, which is more time now they have with buyers and sellers, right? So that's great. Then you have the ability to automatically, because it's a text platform, you have the ability to text out upon certain milestones in a closing. So now I have the ability to market like never before. I have the ability to provide an experience like never before, but automatically. So upon the start or completion of any action in the workflow, I can have a little text that goes out. But the beauty with that is that text message, what if they respond to it? So you got to be really careful what platform you use, because if they respond to it and there's nothing, Alana will answer the question because Alana's AI. So now if it's, hey, when's my inspection period up? Or, oh, has the buyer made their deposit? Or can I get another copy of that escrow deposit verification? Sitting on top of the database, Alana has the ability to go right in, recognize what file we're talking about based on their cell phone number, which is already dual factor authenticated as we get through, and be able to pull it out and give it to them instantly, right? Incredibly excited about this resource, because it'll take communication within the transaction and the experience amongst all parties to the next level. And it's making us available to them whenever they want, and them meaning agents, lenders, buyers and sellers and borrowers, and they can communicate with us however they want. If they're on their desktop, if they're texting, if they want to pick up the phone and call us. And the ultimate wonderful part is the second that you put something in there that the Alana doesn't understand, or hey, I just want to talk to my closer, it routes just like a phone call right to our receptionist. She can see it, she pops it up, she can see who the closer is, pops right over there, and then that whole transcript, which is really a text message on the end user's texting, right, no longer lives on an individual cell phone. It's within the system, and it'll automatically transfer as a note in that file. So now there's history of that conversation. Oh yeah, we said we'd knock off, $50 from our closing fee, or who knows what it may be. Right. It's the next level. So that I'm really excited about it, because nobody else has it yet, and we're, kind of trend setting that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's interesting. It makes me think about how a lot of people in different industries, every industry really, are afraid of robots, AI, taking their jobs. But I always hear how relationship driven this industry is. So I feel like if there's anything you can do to get your staff away from like all that tedious administrative work and spend more time on building those connections and relationships, that makes sense for, for the growth of your company and for your ability to market the different types of, things that you have to enhance that customer experience when they're closing on their home.
You're 100% right. And if you are an extremely tech-forward company, you open yourself up to, hey, they're so tech-forward, there's no personal touch, right? So it's equal. It's equal efforts. How do we maintain the personal touch better than anybody else? And how do we offer innovative technology that nobody else can do? And you can't sacrifice one for the other, right? And that's why if there's title professionals watching this, Alana is an artificial intelligent bot that's usable via text message and my website chat. When I'm marketing to real estate agents or to buyers and sellers, it's a customer service resource that allows you to communicate with us however you want, whenever you want, because nobody wants to be put on hold. Nobody wants to interact with a robot. Nobody. And so there's a difference in the positioning of it and the effort on our part to make sure that we live up to, hey, I need a question and I'm texting on here, I want a person now. And if we fail on that, that's on us. And if the platform affords us the ability to slide right in, and now it's human beings going back and forth, that's the art. That's what's really, really hard. But it's fun too.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming anytime. Happy to help.
Thanks again to James for joining us. If you're interested in hearing more about AI and its role in the real estate transaction, be sure to get your tickets to this year's NS3 and tune into his presentation, Lean into AI, on September 1st at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. This episode concludes our first season of Title Talks. If you have an idea for an episode for Season 2, email us at title.talks@proplogix.com. That's PROPLOGIX.com. Title Talks is produced by PropLogix and myself. Original music is by Cole Sando. Original graphics are by Jordan Norris. Until next time, happy closings.